Welcome to Downloadable Content. We are Alex.
And SJ Herschel. Today we're going to be talking about the Nintendo Switch 2 trailer that launched.
Let's take a look at it.
Okay. The trailer is here. Is there anything you need to talk about before we just dive straight in?
No.
Okay, let's do it. So for you audio-only listeners, we're going to be going through the trailer and pausing it and talking about different aspects that got revealed in the trailer. So I would recommend watching video on this one, but if you can't, don't worry. We'll be explaining everything along the way. So let's just go for it right away. And I'm also going to turn off the audio because I just copyright stuff.
You'd rather listen to our dulcet tones than
exactly. Why
the
bother?
Nintendo music.
Yeah. Okay, so we got the Nintendo logo first. There's the original Switch.
It's crazy to think that by the time they do their full direct, it'll have been 8 years since the Switch launched.
It is unprecedented, actually, right? I'm pretty sure it's the longest console cycle ever.
You're probably right. I wouldn't know off the top of my head.
I don't know how long the 3DS stuck around. I guess that one's pretty long. But anyway. Okay. They're showing it getting a little bigger. And here's the transformation. So it looks like it's going to have more of a matte finish compared to the Switch. Like I think they made a point of showing that new texture, which is interesting. It's cool, but not a big deal. We get USB-C at the bottom, as usual. We get the power volume buttons. Another USB-C at the top. This is kind of a big deal to me because if I'm playing handheld and I want to plug in headphones that don't use the headphone jack, if it's like a USB headphone, like the ones I'm wearing right now, that's really handy.
Right, having both instead of having to
being
choose
able to
between
have some
charging
kind of
or
peripherals, plugged in at the same time is really nice.
This is actually a big deal for me. Not as much as you'd think, but like playing games in handheld mode with other people is impossible on the current Switch because the kickstand is just so flimsy.
It's pretty crappy, yeah.
And I mean, it's not like I run into that circumstance very often, but it is now admittedly far more likely for it to happen with this type of kickstand instead.
I agree. And I like the flexibility that they show off here. I think this just kind of reassures people that, hey, this is going to function just like the Switch OLED does right now, you know? Right. And I think some people might be concerned that, hey, like this is, let me back up a little bit. This is like a little flimsier looking than the Switch OLED one, which is like a full on like
just like
huge metal plate,
half, right?
I don't think it's going to be a big deal because I think the reason why they did that is because it allows more space for internals. They probably want to pack it up with as much battery and whatever else that they could. And I like this hybrid approach because you still have two sides. It's still very secure. You know, it might take less beating than the Switch OLED one does, but I mean, who's going to be grabbing the thing and bending it? And right? Like, I don't think it's a big deal at all.
Right.
Okay, now we're onto the Joy-Cons. They get bigger, noticeably. They got a cool little... I like the color accents. It's a pretty nice, classy, low-key way to design it.
Yeah, I think it's a nice mix between the color model and the gray model that we got before you kind of had to choose, and then even if you were to get both sets, like you would either have one without any color or one that was only color, whereas kind of combining it now, it's a very appealing look compared to
And I think this particular look is going to make mixing and matching different Joy-Cons look even better because you'll have that uniformity with the black.
Right.
I do like how they've raised this section here that plugs into the Switch, where you've got the SL and SR buttons. I think this will make it a lot easier to use Joy-Con single standalone when you don't have the little thingy that attaches. In fact, I don't even know if they have a thingy that attaches anymore. Maybe they do, but one more thing we see here. So we've got the sync button in the center, right next to the port where it plugs into the main body, but we also get the lights that face the player, which is cool. That wasn't the case before. And right here is a sensor, and a lot of people have been talking about the sensor. Let me see if I can. I don't know how to move this frame by frame. Okay. I'm almost there. I almost got it. People are saying that this is the exact kind of sensor that you find in mice for computers. Have you heard that?
Yeah, I know a lot of people are very, very heavy on the mice functionality, especially because of what comes later in the trailer.
Yes, let's put a pin on that and come back to it. The buttons look slightly bigger.
Wow.
Now they make a point of showing that stick rolling around. It's like, hey, you better not have Joy-Con drift. Like, please, Nintendo. Oh my gosh.
So this right here is where we start to see that slide that people are very focused on.
I didn't think anything of it until people pointed it out. That it's like, oh, they've got to work as mice because of that sensor thing, and because they're showing it sliding around on a flat surface. It looks intentional. Okay, so you do have the little cover things that go on, and when you put them on, they're flat, right? So it makes the Joy-Con sit flush on the table. It does look like you're gonna be able to use it in that fashion.
Now, how important is that to you?
Honestly, not really, because I'm just trying to think of how this would work in the real world. A lot of people are excited because, oh man, like you're going to be able to have like keyboard, mice kind of input on video games. I don't know if that's really what this is, because if you really think about it, okay, that would mean that you're always going to need a desk, something you're sitting right at. I mean, I feel like it kind of goes against the whole
portability
thing that Nintendo has going. So do you have any thoughts on that?
I just don't see how widely used it is. I think back to the original Switch and Mario Odyssey. Kind of. Oh, the camera feed's gone. While you're kind of fiddling with that, I'm going to keep talking.
Yeah,
though.
Keep going.
Mario Odyssey made a pretty big deal about kind of its suggested controller scheme by playing with two separate Joy-Cons and not in the grip, but specifically having separated so that you can use the motion controls for Cappy and that kind of stuff. And I thought it was awesome. And then no other game really uses that or is bold enough to say, of the 7,000 different control schemes that the Switch has, this is the one that we suggest. Right? Now, that's not to say that you can't play Mario Odyssey using other schemes. It works perfectly, just with all those others as well. But it seems to me like this is kind of a similar thing where even if they were to use mice functionality, like when I think of the heavy Nintendo hitters, I can't think of a Nintendo franchise that would benefit from being able to employ this type of scheme. Like, you're not going to play Mario this way. You're not going to play Zelda this way. You're not going to play Mario Kart. You're not going to play Smash Brothers. And so it's more of I think it's a cool feature that just will end up seeming underutilized, I guess. So I'm not against it. I'm not against it at all. I want to make that very, very clear. I just don't know, I guess, the point or quite how considering how much I've heard about it, there's been way more discussion on it than I think probably warrants how much we'll actually see it used.
I agree with everything you just said. Let me take a pause, quick break, figure this stuff out because our feed's just being weird. We'll be right back.
A few moments later.
Okay, we're back. I agree with what you said. I just can't picture how this is gonna work. So imagine with your family or your buddy comes over, you're sitting you're sitting at the couch. How are you supposed to use it like a mouse on a couch?
Right.
I don't know. Maybe your lap, I guess. Or maybe Nintendo has some other wacky ways to use it, like they tried to do with the IR sensor, which didn't really take off, but I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
You know? And if it turns out that it is genuinely like a mouse input for like FPS games or something, I think it'll just be a nicety. It's like, oh, it's nice that that's an option that people can do, but you can still use the sticks. Yeah, interesting. All right, let's keep it rolling. Okay, here we see it. Here we see the port on the Switch itself, where the Joy-Con connects. So I've seen a lot of commotion online. People are freaking out about it.
Oh, much.
Right? Because it's like, oh, you've got this puny little thing. It's going to snap right off. It's going to get damaged. The one thing I want to point out, though, is that it's not a port that is protruding out from the main body. It's recessed, right? Like this is flush with this whole rail thing that's around it. So in order for you to snap that off, it's not going to snap off if the Joy-Con is connected to the Switch, period, because it is reinforced by that hard plastic that goes all the way around it. You can't do that. Another concern I've heard is, well, when the Joy-Con's off, like you could just reach in there and like break it or whatever, but
who's going to do that?
I think people are blowing this out of proportion. I really don't think this is an issue. Yeah, I mean, if it comes out, just like let's not worry about things, all these hypotheticals, until we see the actual thing in person.
So my thing is, I understand, like, for families that have young children that also play on a Switch, I can understand a little bit of I can see why their anxiety might be a little bit higher. But again, it's just one of those things where, like, use it properly and teach people how to use it properly. Because, like, the only way I imagine this breaking is if you, like, intentionally try to, like, bend the Joy-Cons around. And even then, like, that might not even damage the port. It'll just damage the controllers itself, right? So it's...
Or you're shoving your finger in there and trying
right,
to
it's like, if it breaks, it feels kind of intentional or just careless. Like, I don't think it's going to be this just happens.
I doubt it's going to think that's going to happen left and right. This is not a Joy-Con drift kind of situation. And we don't know, right? We don't have the physical thing in our hands. Like, for all we know, maybe that little port thing has some give to it. Maybe you push it and it wiggles, or there's a spring mechanism, or we don't know any of that. So let's not worry about it. Okay, moving on. So this is very satisfying. You don't slide them on anymore. You just
push them in.
You just push them in, and they just click into place. And everybody's saying that these are magnetic, and that's how they keep themselves in place. It's not the port that's holding it in place, which is really interesting to me, because those have got to be pretty strong magnets to work that way. Yeah. And there is a little release button. I must have missed it in the trailer, but at the very top you press it, and then it's supposed to make it easier to. You press them, and then you can pull the Joy-Cons apart.
2.
Nintendo Switch 2, not Roman numerals. Sorry, Alex.
I just have a question.
Yeah.
why did they not do Roman numerals and instead
With
make
the
it
Joy-Cons? With the Joy-Cons? Yeah, Nintendo.
now, like, I understand the Joy-Con image as it is, is reused from the first one.
Right.
And so you still got to do something to differentiate it. But why didn't you thin out the Joy-Cons a little bit? They don't have to be exact replicas of the Joy-Cons. Just work them in. It would have been so
stylize it so it looks like the Roman numeral 2. Yeah.
But,
and just make it fit right at the end of the Switch right here. Right?
Yep.
That would have been pretty sick. It's fine.
It's passable.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's just very plain, which is okay. They're going for a simplicity thing.
Yeah.
Everybody's about minimalism these days, so.
And they kind of just re-emphasize stuff that we've kind of already talked about here. They give it a little bit more color.
There's the releases in the back.
Yes.
You press
right
those.
there.
Those look very intuitive to press to just release.
Yeah. And we see,
dude, okay,
Mario Kart.
Everyone's talking about this.
The
number
of racers.
The number of racers, right? It's crazy. 20 something. 24. And also Donkey Kong's crazy wild redesign.
Well, right, he looks like he does in the movie.
What? I don't think that looks like how... It's more of like a hybrid of how he looks in the movie and how he used to be like when he was kidnapping Pauline back in the day. That's how I looked at it, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, the return of the Switch grip. I loved the grip until I got a Pro controller, and then I never used the grip again.
Me too. Yep. Mario is I feel like maybe all the characters got a bit of a lift. Bowser looks the same, but Mario looks a little more like he does in Mario Wonder.
Yeah,
I think.
It's definitely a bit more cartoony.
Yeah, which is fine. I don't know. 2025. Okay. Go for it.
Backwards compatibility.
Let me read it. Nintendo Switch 2 plays both physical and digital Nintendo Switch games. Certain Nintendo Switch games may not be supported on or fully compatible with Nintendo Switch 2. Details will be shared on the Nintendo website at a later date. So this is very cool because this shows that the Nintendo Switch cartridges physically will be compatible with the Switch 2. Physical and digital. They clarified that, yep. So, for most games, it'll be backwards compatible, but not everything. I think they have the not everything disclaimer in there just to cover their bases on some things. I think most games that you and I play are going to be compatible. Stuff like Nintendo Switch Labo might not be because it requires the physical dimensions of the Switch itself, the original. But I think that's going to be very few and far in between.
Yeah, no, I mean... I think it's also more of every Nintendo first party game will be compatible with it, except for the Labo stuff, right? But like shovelware that's on the Switch eShop might not transfer over, right? Like it's less of our third party products that we released on the Switch might not transfer over, but I don't think anybody will be too upset about that. Maybe.
There's probably some niche ones people will be mad about, but oh man, I just had this thought. I totally lost it though. Totally lost it. It's gone.
And then as we continue to look at it, it kind of switches over into the next screen where it announces that Full Direct, April 2nd.
April 2nd, 2025. I gotta be honest, this was painful. This is a very, very long time. I would have much rather preferred if we heard nothing from Nintendo at all and then we just got the full direct dropped in April.
I'm gonna disagree with you there, Chief.
But that's just me personally, right? I don't think, and I think they had to make some kind of announcement because
The leaks.
the leaks were everywhere. They got to please their investors and all that stuff, and they hadn't said anything in a very long time. So I understand why.
So that's where I am. Is that we had gone an insanely long time, and they made this huge deal about the successor will be announced before the end of the fiscal year, and the end of Nintendo's fiscal year is in March, and we hadn't heard squat since they had made that announcement almost an entire year earlier, and that was painful for me to sit through. So I'm okay now, at least knowing when I'll find out what's happening, even if I had to wait a little bit longer for it in the end.
I think what really makes me like kind of disappointed about this is that it's just the wait, right? And I just gotta be patient. But if we're getting the Switch Direct in April, when is the actual Switch 2 gonna be launched?
October.
That's gonna be freaking late, right? And they already have, I think, on their website like scheduled Nintendo Switch 2 events across the world and stuff, and that's happening throughout a good chunk of the year. So I can't imagine they're going to be releasing the actual Switch hardware while they're doing that or before that. So it's probably going to be late quarter 3 or beginning of quarter 4 kind of situation, which is kind of sad because now, we just got to wait the whole year. And it kind of makes me wonder, I mean, are they going to have any major releases for the Switch? Even if they do, people are going to be like, well, I'd rather just wait till the Switch 2 comes out. Like, I wonder how it's going to go for Nintendo this year with that wait.
Right. So as we do we want to finish anything out before we move into that speculative period, or?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So speaking of major titles, here's what's going to happen. Metroid Prime 4 is going to be the cross-generational launch like Breath of the Wild was, because they've confirmed Metroid Prime 4 for 2025, and they're not going to release that 2 months before the Switch 2 comes out. So it's going to come out on both versions. That's going to kind of be a big launch title for them, right?
I agree.
Now, the real fun part of this conversation, not that this hasn't been fun, but the part that I'm most excited for personally, what else drops on day one?
I think we'll get Mario Kart.
Okay. Yep.
Very, very safe bet there. I don't know. Honestly, Mario Kart and Metroid 4. That's pretty solid. We may get a 3D. I think the other ones that are possibilities are new 3D Mario. I think that's possible, given how long it's been since the last one, which was
8 years ago.
Bowser's Fury.
I mean, yeah, if you count Bowser's Fury, the 4-hour game.
They could have like a side team doing that. Or some kind of 3D Zelda situation. Maybe like a remake. Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, please. Or even the freaking... I think it's got to be something new, though. They can't just like bring the Wii U, you know...
So let me walk you through my ideal scenario here, right?
All right.
My ideal but realistic scenario, okay? So Mario Kart and Metroid Prime, I think those are 100% confirmed, right? Those are launch day titles.
Is Metroid confirmed?
No, I mean, no, not confirmed. But in my mind,
pretty safe.
I don't know what else you do, right?
Yeah,
you launch it a month after the Switch 2 or a month before the Switch 2. Like, they're running out of time, okay? I think that's what they're launching as with the Switch 2, okay? I think we'll get a little gimmick game like that just shows off the new controllers.
1, 2, Switch 2.
Exactly. 3, 4 Switch.
3, 4 Switch.
And I think we get a new 3D Mario because it's been so long.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do think we get a Zelda. I think that more likely than not, it's Wind Waker Twilight Princess double packaged. Now, that's not what I would choose. I would be much happier if they announced a built from the
Just
ground up
porting the
Ocarina
Wii
of
U
Time.
game? Just
Because-
porting the Wii U package, though? That's
Because-
so weak. I mean, I'd be happy, but that's kind of weak.
Now, if we compare to the Switch itself's launch, 1-2 Switch, Breath of the Wild, the Bomberman game. That was it. So hearing Mario Kart, Metroid Prime 4, 3D Mario, and a remake Zelda game, I think that's
Okay.
automatically a stronger launch.
You're right.
But
You're right.
I mean, I guess Breath of the Wild's nearly a perfect game, so that it might not be the exact same thing, but
It does please the masses. Like, there's something there for every single person.
Right.
Yeah.
different type of game, so that anyone who's gonna pick up a Switch 2 will want to pick it up on day one because there's something ready for them.
Yeah. Good point.
Now, again, we're going completely off of speculation because none of that's confirmed. But of those 4 that we've discussed, new 3D Mario, Mario Kart, Metroid Prime 4, and a Zelda remake. We can't really specify what Zelda remake, but just go with Zelda remake. Of those 4, what's the first buy?
For me, honestly, it depends on what Zelda remake it is. If they
Okay, so let's say it's the Wii U packages. It's Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. Then what's the first buy?
I will probably buy the new 3D Mario.
Okay.
And Mario Kart.
Okay. Then say it's the Ocarina of Time remake.
Ocarina of Time remake.
And
And Mario Kart.
Mario Kart over a 3D Mario.
Oh, crap. I'm playing Ocarina of Time right now, actually.
Are you actually?
Yeah.
Nice.
Shoot, man. I might just buy all of it.
All 4. That's the right answer. There you go. We cracked it.
But the thing is, like, the reason why Metroid Prime 4 isn't number 1 on, I'm going to buy that day one, is because I know I'll eventually get around to it, just like I did with Metroid Prime Remake. And it's fantastic and I love it. But I can wait a little bit because there's other single player games I'm working on, like Skyrim, that's taking up so much of my life. So that one can wait. But if it's like a new 3D Mario or a significant Zelda remake, those are like, okay, I got to put down everything else and play this first. Because like I love Metroid, but I'm not as hardcore as a lot of others that would be like, oh, day one, no doubt, you know. What about you though?
So that's really hard for me to answer because my wife loves Mario games. She loves certain Zelda games. Like if it's the Wii U package and they do Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, I have to get that. And not just because I want Wind Waker, but because Twilight Princess is her favorite Zelda game.
Ace.
And she's always not complaining, but like, you know, I really want to play Twilight Princess. Can I play it? And I'm like, how are we going to play it? She's like, oh, we don't have it on the Switch. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry, it's not on the Switch. And she's like, oh, I keep forgetting. So that like has to be a purchase. And then on the other side, it's like, okay, do I please my wife and get Mario Kart because she likes Mario Kart and wants to play Mario Kart with me? But in all honesty, if it was only up to me, Mario Kart would be the last one that I would buy off that list. I would rather play Metroid Prime 4 or a new 3D Mario before I play Mario Kart.
I understand. And I think the only reason why I'd want Mario Kart right off the bat is, yes, because I'll play with my wife, but also because whenever like I'm with friends, if I don't have Mario Kart, I know that I'm going to regret it because somebody's going to be like, hey, look, let's play Mario Kart. And then if I can't be like, oh, I've got the new one, let's go right now, I'll be like, oh, right, I should have bought it.
It's kind of that's kind of the tough aspect of it, right? It's just, yeah. But I'm very, very happy, right? I've got money aside to take care of the Switch. And currently, I've also got enough for one game. And once they actually announce price points and stuff, I'll continue to add to that to try to have some good flexibility to take care of some stuff. But
what do you think it's going to be priced at? Let's talk about that.
I mean, 400's a pretty popular guess right now.
Yeah.
It has to come in well below the PS5 and the Xbox One. It still does. Like, no matter how powerful it is, with it being also a mobile device and the battery life and stuff, it's got to be lower than those, right? I mean, those are priced at $500. You can even get a PS5 digital for $450. It's like 400 in my mind seems like the max that they can charge right now, if I had to guess, right?
I think they could get away with 450. But
Take it back.
That's the max.
Take it back. I don't want to pay 450 for it. I want to pay 400. I will pay 450 for it, but
yeah, I think 400 is the sweet spot. I do think so.
I feel like if they charge 400, like, no one can complain. No one can be like,
nobody will complain.
This is too expensive, or like this is too high a barrier to entry. Because, I mean, looking at that, who can say that that's not worth $400, right? Like, it definitely is.
It's very reasonable. It's right in line with inflation. It would make sense. It's an upgrade, but it's not. Yeah, it's a little more than because the Switch OLED's $350, right?
Yes. I don't know if it still is. I know that's what it launched at.
Right.
So I'd be shocked if it dipped anytime recently. But
yeah, man, there you have it. I think 400 is a good guess. 400 to 450. I don't think it can be more.
No, this is my last question for this. Your dream Nintendo Switch 2 product. So taking into account everything that you enjoy about the Switch, knowing some of the limitations about the Switch lineup, to make the perfect game for the Switch, what are you doing?
Ooh, I want Smash.
I should have known. I mean,
Smash is my number one video game in every single Nintendo console I've ever owned. I've always put more hours into Smash than any other game. Smash speculation. Now that's an idea for a video.
I mean,
actually, we gotta get going. Yeah, that's a fun one to talk about. We'll leave that topic for another day.
We don't want to talk about timing on that real quick. Is that allowed to talk about? And then we can talk about roster and other stuff on speculation.
Okay.
I mean, I've seen people going crazy on Twitter that Sakurai's been working on a game since 2022 and hasn't announced anything.
Do they have receipts on that?
I mean, it's on Twitter, so
okay.
I guess take it for what it's worth. But if he's been working on a game for 3 years now, what else is he working on?
I mean, there are gonna be the people that are like, Kid Icarus, please, another Kid Icarus. And don't worry, we love you.
Right?
Huh?
We all know it's Smash, though, right? Like,
I mean, it's gotta be Smash. Like, because Sakurai always says, hey, this is the last Smash game I'm working on. He said that during the Wii U era, and that's why he went so hard and was like, we're going to put it on the 3DS too, this is like the last hurrah or whatever. But it wasn't. And then they came out with Ultimate. So I hope Sakurai's working on the new Smash, because if Sakurai's not involved in the new Smash, I am really worried.
Sure.
I honestly don't know who else can head that,
Yeah, I think...
I mean, I'm sure there are people out there that are
I
capable.
think the workload and... I think you can hand the Zelda franchise to a lot of people and it can have success because it's so... Zelda can be so many things, whereas Smash has a bit more of a niche or like a set expectation within itself of what it is, that it requires him to be involved, because you hand it off to someone else and it's...
His attention to detail is just crazy. It's just crazy. Though if he is working on it, man, like, please take care of yourself. Like, don't get sent into the hospital, like, because you're overworking yourself. You need an IV and all that stuff. Like, because that stuff is like, that makes me worried, because that man is, he's not old, but like, he's not young anymore, right? Like, he's got to take care of himself.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right, well, there you have it. Let us know your thoughts. Do you agree, disagree with any of our points? What do you think the Switch 2 launch timeframe titles are going to look like? That'd be a pretty good, fun thing to discuss in the Discord, actually. If you guys would like to sign up for that, join the party down there. Yeah. For our Patreon supporters, we have our lovely down-to-earth cockatiels who are Joshua, Tyler, Matthew, and then we also have our down-to-earth parakeets who are Noah, J Maurer, and Nicholas. Thank you always for your support. And thank you for just watching and listening. We'll talk to you next time.